we're delighted to be welcoming back Dr. Tim Kitchen from Adobe. Tim ran some terrific webinars for DLTV right at the beginning of the first lockdown last year, when online learning was suddenly on everyone's mind. And yeah, it was just terrific to have Tim's wisdom over last year. Today, Tim's back to share about the Spark tools for creativity across different learning areas in your school. I'll leave it to Tim to explain what the Spark tools are actually best for and how you can use them in your school, but that's what today's all about. Now, you can see on this slide that's up right now some information and links for other DLTV webinars, ones that are upcoming, as well as recordings from our previous webinars this year and last year. Okay, so without further ado, I'll hand over to Tim Kitchen. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Nathan, and please do use the chat feature and ask questions. Kevin and Nathan will be following the chat and interrupting me if I miss anything at any point in time. I'm going to get you started on the chat though first. Can you tell me if you have ever used any of the Adobe Spark tools before? Give us a yes. You've got 10 seconds to give me a yes if you've used any of the Spark tools. I just want to get a sense of the room. Looking at the chat, there are some people typing away at the moment. We've got some no's, we've got some no yes. I want some, yeah. Oh, Andrew, thank you. We've got one. Andrew, give us some more information. Is it Spark Post, Spark Video, Spark Page, or is it all three? Give us some more information about that, Andrew. Otherwise, everyone else, it seems, this is all going to be brand new for you, which is always good for me to know so that I can make sure I'm targeting to the right people. Just a quick look at it, says Andrew, so this will be fairly new for you as well. Terrific. All right, that gives me a sense of it. I'm Dr. Tim Kitchen, as Nathan said, and I'm a little bit excited. I'm always a little bit excited when it comes to using digital tools in the classroom. But today I'm particularly excited because right now we're running what's called Adobe Max, which is the world's biggest creativity conference. And it's happening right now. It started, when did it start? It started for us on Wednesday morning, at 3 o'clock in the morning, believe it or not. And it's going to continue through till Friday, about 1 o'clock lunchtime Friday tomorrow, and it's been amazing. And I haven't had a lot of sleep over the last couple of days, so I apologize if I ramble a little bit, but it's just absolutely brilliant. And if you want to find out what the latest and greatest in digital creativity is, go to max.adobe.com. I'll mention it a little bit later, and then you can have a look at the recordings of the keynote. And I had the pleasure of actually presenting today for the first time. I actually got to present at Adobe Max. Now, I've been working at Adobe for 8 years. Before that, I was a school teacher for 23 years. I know you find that very hard to believe because I don't look anywhere near that old, do I? Don't answer that question. But I've been to Adobe Max. Like, I've actually physically been there when it used to be a face-to-face event. In fact, that's what traditionally it was, with about 15 to 20,000 digital creatives all in Los Angeles for this massive conference event. Just brilliant. And I managed to get to the 2018 Adobe Max. And then last year it went virtual, and we had 5 million people involved watching the recordings soon after, if not live. And today, the session that I ran on Adobe Character Animator, there were 2,000 people who'd enrolled in that session. It was like, wow. It was like, the chat went mad. But it was so cool, and including members of the Character Animator product team who I've only seen in videos before. They were there moderating the session. It was just like, I felt like really privileged to be presenting and representing Australia, in a sense, representing education here in this part of the world to this massive global audience. So I'm on a bit of a high at the moment, so that's just me. Now look, I've got a couple of resources there on this slide, timkitchen.net. That's where I post a lot of the cool things. I'm in the middle of posting a session about the Adobe Max keynote. So that isn't published yet, but the most recent article on timkitchen.net is my YouTube show, which I publish about. We do it every second Wednesday night. And that's the most recent article. And if you want to go through, you can have a look at all sorts of things that we do in the world of Adobe in education for this part of the world. And there's my Twitter handle as well. But this session is about creating sparking creativity in any curriculum area with Adobe's free tools. And I mean any curriculum area. I'm actually working I'm probably working more with English and humanities teachers now than I am with IT, arts and media teachers, which seems unusual for Adobe because we're so well known in the media, arts and IT world. But I'm also working with maths teachers and science teachers because everyone's wanting to learn how to create digitally, how to create content, how to get videos made really quickly, how to make posters really quickly and make them look amazing, how to do web pages and get them done really quickly and make them look fantastic and available just for the person next to you or for the whole school or just for your learning management system or for the whole world. All of those options are available through Adobe Spark. And the Spark tools, as we'll talk about in a minute, are all about getting content created really quickly, which is nothing like Premiere Pro, After Effects, InDesign, and all of our professional tools that you probably are familiar with, at least the names of, that are used at the highest levels of the communications industries. These tools, the Spark tools, are designed for anyone just to get started in this world and to be successful. And they're brilliant, brilliant tools. So let's jump into it. First of all, I want you to get into Spark yourself. We're going to do a little bit of hands-on. Even though I've got a fair bit of content to get through, I want you to have a bit of a play as we go through. So the quickest, most efficient way of getting into Spark is to go to a browser. I'm going to use Chrome. I recommend Chrome. It'll work well on Firefox. It'll work well on Safari. It'll work well on Edge. If you're still using Internet Explorer, really, it's time to move on. It's not going to be a happy experience for you. So choose any other browser other than Internet Explorer. I'm going to grab my Chrome browser, bring it to the share screen. And at the very top, you can see I've already typed in spark.adobe.com. I'm going to grab that link, that URL, and I'm going to put it into the chat. And just that might make it easier for you. Naja's saying I use Premiere Pro and love it. Fantastic, Naja, because you're a Premiere Pro user, you're probably not going to touch Spark Video because it's just so basic. And Premiere Pro is like at one extreme of the video production world to Spark Video. But I'd love to show you a little bit of it anyway so you can share it with your teachers. Let's face it, not everyone's going to be a Premiere Pro user. The thing I love about Spark is that even school principals can use it. Now that's saying something, I'm telling you now. I work with a lot of school principals and usually I give up after about 5 minutes, but Spark seems to work pretty well for them. So look, the best way to get in is once you've typed in spark.adobe.com is to try and log in with your school account, because most schools now, most independent and Catholic schools anyway, and all Victorian Department of Education high schools have got themselves set up with an Adobe account. So you can just log in with your school email address and that'll get you in and it'll look like you're logging into your normal school system. If you're a primary teacher in the department, you're not automatically set up, we can set you up. And I'm going to put my email address right into the chat right now in case you are, because I can help you get your school set up through the department. If you're a independent Catholic Lutheran school, not that there's many Lutheran schools in Victoria, but if you are, you can set up Spark totally for free for your school, and it's a matter of working with your IT administration to manage what's called the Adobe Admin Console, which they're probably already aware of, and they're probably only using it for your media students and your media teachers, but you can use that to get everyone access to Spark at no cost. That's right. It's totally free of charge. So you get involved once you get a sense of it. If you're having trouble logging in with your school account, log in with your Google account, your Facebook account, your Apple account, or create an Adobe account if you want to. The trick is when you're working with students under 13, they're not allowed to log in with Google, Facebook, Apple, or Adobe because you do need to be 13 to have one of those social media type accounts, not social media, but well, Facebook is. But that's why it's so important for you as a school to set up Spark at the back end for your students so that the under 13s can access. I'm going to log in with my school account. And if you want your IT people to have some more information about this, email me. Email me and I'm happy to help support and just get your school logged on, because I think this is just the best software around, especially if you want to get stuff done quickly without worrying too much about design, without worrying about the tool. In fact, with Spark, I don't even teach the tool when I'm showing it to kids. I usually base it around a problem that I'm trying to solve, and I say, let's create a video to solve this problem. Let's create a web page to solve this problem. And this group over there, how about you go and create a poster to tell us about your solution to the problem, whatever the problem is. 20 minutes later, and I say to them, look, this is Spark. I know you've probably never used it before. Just go in and have a play, see what you come up with. 20 minutes later, never disappointed. There's always amazing work that's produced because it's such an intuitive app. Now I've got to go through a second level of authentication to log in, and I just spoke for too long, but I think we should be okay. Yep, it's coming in now. So you're probably logged in before I am because I've got to go through that second level of authentication, and this is what Spark looks like in the browser. It is also 3 separate mobile apps. So it is actually 3 separate iOS apps: Spark Post, Spark Page, and Spark Video. But with the browser, you get access to the full realm of Spark. Now, before I go any further, I want to know if you've been able to log in. There's a bit of branding or like an onboarding site that comes up if it's the first time you've ever logged in, which it is for most of you. Close that down. What you're looking for is you're looking for that blue dot with a plus symbol in the middle. That is right up there in the top left-hand corner below the Spark logo. Once you've found that blue dot, go to the chat and tell me, give me a yes or a no. I want to know if you've logged in, if you're actually able to create with me. Go to the chat now, give me a yes or a no. Thank you, Lisa. And Nathan, while they're doing that, is there anything in the chat that I've missed that I need to address before we start building something?
No, I don't think so at this point, Tim. Yeah, I think it's... yeah, just general comments at this stage.
Excellent, good. All right, looks like the bulk of you are logging in and getting there and just making sure that there's no one who needs any real help at the moment. Some of you might just be watching this, or if you're watching the recording, of course, work with us, or you can just watch the recording later on if you have some issues. All right, so the bulk of us are in, so go ahead and click that blue dot. When you click the blue dot, you can see all the amazing things that you can just start building with Adobe Spark. If you look at Flyer, Instagram Story, the social media side of things, the branded graphics and the custom size graphics, that's all part of what's called Spark Post. That's the desktop publishing side of Spark. Spark web page is Spark Page, and that's a way of creating a web page that we will host for you totally at no cost at all. And you can share it on the internet if you want to go to that extreme, or just share it with the person next to you. It's a really lovely way of creating content. And then video is the very simple video storytelling tool. What I'd like you all to do first is let's create a custom size graphic. Let's actually create like a poster. Even though you could choose the flyer option for that, I want you to choose the size. I want you to have total control over the actual resolution of this poster or flyer that you're going to build. So go ahead and click custom size graphic, and you'll see first of all it's going to give you some popular sizes to work with and different types of resolutions and formats, different ones for social media. If you know you're going to print this out, you could create something that's A5, A4, A3, letter size if you're in America, card size. Social profiles, standard sizes, custom. You can actually bring in the actual resolution if you know exactly what resolution you want. I'm going to assume that because you're all educators that you might actually want to print this at some point. So let's go with print and A4. That's what I'm going to choose anyway. You can choose whatever size you want. And once you've selected the size, you click on next, and it starts to build the stage for you where you're going to start creating your poster. And as I'm showing you how to do this, you'll notice that I'm also teaching you the other parts of Spark at the same time. There's a lot of similarities between all 3 parts of the Spark environment. There's a bunch of templates. And if you've logged in with your school account, you get access to all the templates because you've got the full version. If you've logged in with your free account through Google, Facebook, Apple, or Adobe ID, you don't get access to all of them. You get access to quite a few, but you have a limited access. I'm not going to do this, but I just want to show you, if you wanted to use one of the templates, you could do a search. I might even do the word creativity, because that's what I'm going to do a poster about, the concept of creativity. I'm just doing a search for creativity, and instantly a whole lot of templates come up. And if I like the look and feel of any of these templates, I can just click on one and then click create from this template. and then just rework the text and the image, keep the other person's design, my poster is made, ready to share. It's as simple as that. So that's how working with templates makes things really simple. But I'm going to give you a bit more of a challenge. I'm going to close that down and we're going to build something from scratch. So I'm going to do something on creativity. So the first thing I want to do is the word creativity, or I'm going to say a statement: creativity is vital in education. That's something that I really believe in any curriculum area, whether it's a creative subject or whether it's a non-creative subject, so to speak. I think creativity is so important. So to get that statement in there, I'm going to choose the tool that's below templates, which is the text tool. And by clicking text, again, there's a bunch of templates, and you could choose any one of those if you wanted to, if you like the look and feel, or you can just click the word add your text. And when you do click that button, you'll notice on the right-hand side, there is a text edit tool plus a whole lot of other tools that allow you to edit your text. So I'm quickly going to type in that statement: creativity is vital in education. And just check that I've spelled it all, and you can see it's all appearing on my stage. As the text appears on your stage, you can click and drag it and move it anywhere you want to. You can grab any one of these little handles that are on the corner of your text box, and you can use those to scale your text bigger or smaller. There's even a rotation tool that allows you just to give it a bit of an angle as well, which is quite nice. As I've clicked away from the text, all those tools have disappeared, and if I want them back again, I just click on the text and they reappear. Notice these tools here, such as changing the color of the text, and it's giving me a recommended color palette, or I can fine tune that any way I want to. I can bring in any of the fonts that I've got access to, the size, the alignments, even some nice little cool tools here, like to curve, do a semicircle if I want to, or do a full circle if I wanted to. Just some nice little tools. And if you're not happy with what you've just done, you can always go up to the top top center, where you can undo and redo, or you can click Command Z or Control Z like you do with many other applications. You've got some alignment tools, opacity, even things like to add a shape. Just the basic elements of a desktop publisher are available to you through the browser, through Adobe Spark. So I'm pretty happy without the shape. I don't need a drop shadow at this point. Maybe later I'll put one in. I do love this tool though, Find a New Style. When you click on that, every time you click on it, it gives you some more ideas, some more inspiration on how you might want to present the text. And something might jump out at you and pop out and think, yeah, that's really cool, I want to stick with that. Or you might not like any of those, and you can just undo until you get back to the one that you thought was pretty cool. So I'm going to go back to the start. I think that's not bad, but not great. So I'm going to go with just this one here, I think. Good. So that's how you manipulate your text. Notice the tool below the text is the Photos tool. And when you click on the Photos tool, you can see there's a panel that appears, and this panel appears in Spark Video. It also appears in Spark Page, exactly the same panel, with only a slight variation with Spark Video. It allows you to add your own photo. Like you can click on, take a photo with your webcam, and then your photo will appear in your video. That's pretty cool. You can upload any image that you've got on your device, and that's handy. But what a lot of students will do is they will grab an image from Google and think that they can then publish it. And that becomes a teaching point for you to understand that your students are really not supposed to do that. I mean, yes, your school has a license for you to use that type of material within the boundaries of your school, but as soon as you publish outside the boundaries of the school, you are breaching copyright. So try to encourage your students to use royalty-free images. Don't just grab anything from Google and then upload it. If they've taken the picture themselves, that's great, and they can upload that photo and bring it in. But we've got this fabulous button here called Find Free Photos. And I love this tool because when you click on it, I'll do a search for creativity and see if my favorite photo appears. We've got a partnership with Unsplash and Pixabay and Flickr and a whole lot of sources of royalty-free images that you are allowed to use. And in fact, with Spark Video and Spark Page, as soon as you use any of these images, they automatically get credited at the end of your project. So the author and the name of the picture get there, which is cool. It doesn't happen in Spark Post because it's only the one page. But this is my favorite photo. I'm going to grab on this one. I love using this photo. I love it because obviously these two students are using Adobe Spark. I mean, look at their faces. They're just loving what they're doing. I'm going to just rotate that and bring that across to the side. So I'm pretty happy with that. In fact, when I look at those students, I think this is what school should be about every day. That's what your students should look like all the time when they're learning. I mean, this is the sort of energy I love getting from students. Every day that I was a teacher in the classroom for 23 years, that's what I wanted to see from every student that I worked with. I wanted to see that engagement. And these tools help drive that engagement, no matter what subject you're working in, even in mathematics. Yes, that's true. And this is a great tool for infographics in mathematics. One of the great things is the icons. When you go to below the photos, you've got the icons option. When you click on that, you can choose any sort of topic of icon. I might choose create, see what comes up. And these become great little icons. I can just click on the globe, the bulb there. It appears on my stage. I can then remove it, shape it, position it, and scale it, change the color, make it pop out even more if I wanted to. And when you're creating an infographic in mathematics, these are fabulous just to bring them in and have an arrow going to that point and explaining a difficult concept in a creative way with millions of icons. Digital assets are wonderful too. You can click on digital assets and then choose a topic. Again, I'll do create. I must admit I haven't done that before. I'm not sure what will come up. No, nothing. Okay. Let's just go with what was there before. Just go back and click digital assets. So we've got trending, back to school, vintage garden, and these are ones that I haven't used much before myself. They're sort of changing all the time, which is lovely. I might just grab a back to school one. And you can do a search for all sorts of different topics. But once you've got that digital asset, it's a Creative Commons asset, and you can then drag it just like you did with the photo, and you can move it anywhere you want to onto your poster. Then you've got backgrounds. I can create a background for my photo. There's lots of different themes of backgrounds, and it's just a simple process, clicking the background. The only difference would be, though, if you selected a background, you'd want to scale it to fill the screen like this. And then you want to click the button on the right-hand side called Add to Background, and then that would become your background. So that's just a slight little variation. Then you can play with the filters, and I mean the blur tool's a good one to play with background, so it kind of blurs into it. So now that I've done that, I realize I probably want to change the color of my font and just make it a little bit lighter. So it gives me that color palette to be able to do that. Do you know what? I'm not actually wanting that background, so I'm going to remove the background. And I'm thinking I might just have a white space, but I just wanted to show you what your options are. All right, so that's the basics of Spark Post. And what have I done here? Edit cutout. I've gone into I'll press delete. There we go, that's what I want. I'll just change that font back to something a little bit darker, to maybe the red, that'll do. All right, so now that you've done your design, you're ready to share it out, and there's various ways of sharing. If you look at the top right-hand corner, there are 3 important buttons here. This one's really important because when you click on this one, it actually allows you to send or type in an email address of someone who you might want to collaborate with. So suddenly the Spark tools become a collaborative tool. So you can have a team of people working on the same poster, a team of people working on your video, a team of people working on your web page. And that's really handy if you want to make this collaboration. At the moment, just at the moment, and probably only for a few months, don't quote me on that, it's not real-time collaboration, so you can't all work on it at the same time and see each other working on it, like you would with a Google Doc, for instance. But if you're on at separate times, you can always sort of still work on it and then see what other people have done afterwards. We're working on the real-time collaboration. That'll be a feature that's going to come out fairly soon. Next to the invitation tool is the download tool. And when you click download, you've got a few options here: PNG, JPEG, PDF. Of course, if I go PNG and click start download, because I've got white space, it's giving me the option here of making this a transparent background. And that can be really helpful. That's the beauty of saving as a PNG. Or if I go solid color, it'll be a solid color PNG, and that'll be great to print Could be a fairly high quality print. I'm going to cancel that because I actually really want to save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to save it as a JPEG, click Start Download, and now it's packaging what I've created and sending it to my Downloads folder on my hard drive as a JPEG image, which I can then do whatever I want with. The third option is to go to Share. And when you click Share, we could send it straight to our Google Drive. And if we use Google in our school and keep everything in-housed within our school system, that's a really good option, especially when you're working in primary schools. We can even make it into a template that other students, or if you've got a template you as a teacher have made and you send that template to your students, you're all working on the same template or working on that. If you've got a particular brand or something you want them to work with, that's really cool. The publish one is the most common way of sharing, but just be aware that as soon as you go into publish mode, you are starting to go on the cloud. And I could create a link, or I could send it straight to social media or Google Classrooms, or if you're not a Google school, you're probably a Microsoft school. And our partnership with Microsoft allows you to send it to your Microsoft Teams account, which is nice, or email. I'm just going to go straight to link, and it's packaging, it's created a link now. I'll copy that link. And in fact, I'm going to put that link into the chat. And if you go to that link in the chat now, you will see my poster. And that's just another way of sharing through the cloud. So I'm just going to pause at this point. There's one more thing I want to show you about Spark Post, but we're going to jump into the other parts of Spark in a minute. Nathan, anything in the chat that I need to address?
There was a question from Naja. Where is delete text? But I think, Nadia, you might have to type again just to... Oh, no, you said you found it after that, so that's fine. Yeah, no other questions at this point, Jen. Sorry.
You're right,
I was just going to say how intuitive and beautiful the layout is. I've been trying to learn it on my phone, and this is beautiful. Like, I love it.
Oh, lovely. That's great. And it's a little bit smaller on your phone, isn't it? A little bit hard to manage, but it's very similar on the phone as it is on the iPad. I just find that most schools tend to work with it on the browser, or if they're just using Chromebooks, this is a beautiful tool on the Chromebook as well. Thank you.
Then, sorry, Tim, and then Ria's just asked, once you publish, if you make changes, will it update the published version?
Yeah, absolutely. That link stays consistent no matter what changes you make. So yeah, the person at the other end will always see the changes without having to get a new link generated, which is really important, especially when it's a Spark page and it's actually a web page you produce. You want to make sure that that published link is consistent all the time. Good. Let me show you one more thing with Spark Post before we move into something else. On the right-hand side, there's an animation tool. When you click on that, you can now choose to maybe animate the text, or if we scroll down, we can animate the images in various ways. And if you choose to animate some of those features, you now have a new option when you go to download, and that is to download this as a little video file. It becomes a little MP4 video. Plus, also, if you shared it in the cloud, it also becomes like a little animated GIF in the cloud that you can put on your learning management system or whatever you want. So that's pretty cool. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to save that as an MP4 video file just by clicking Start Download. And now it's packaging it, and any second now it'll end up in my Downloads folder as an MP4 video file. If you're working with the iOS version on your phone or your iPad, it ends up becoming an MOV file rather than an MP4, but still a video file. It automatically saves, Wendy. It's auto-save, and what you're about to see now is I'm going to jump over to the top left-hand corner where I click on the Spark logo, and it's going to take me to my dashboard. So I'll get you to do the same. Go up to your Spark logo, and you'll see that the most recent project you've been working on is sitting there as a poster, and you can then see all the other projects that you will eventually be working on that are all sitting there. In fact, if you go to this section here called Projects, you're able to organize all your projects into folders if you wanted to. And on the far right-hand side, there's a folder button. When you click on that, you can create a folder. I'll just cancel that for the moment. And you can see I've got some folders here already. And you get some analytics too. So for example, if I go to my online events folder, I create a Spark page for a lot of the things that I do for teachers around this part of the world. One of the new things that we've just launched, literally only a week ago, we launched the Adobe Teach Meets, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later. But there's my Spark page about Teach Meets, and I've already had nearly 1,000 teachers look at that. And we only launched it last week, so that's really good to see those numbers. And 5 people have liked it. 5 out of 890. I'm not so sure if that's good, but that's only because people don't know there's an appreciation button there that you can press. I'm sure that's the only reason, but there's some analytics there. What else have we got? 3.4 thousand have looked at this one. This was a Be a Creative Educator course that I run once a month. I'll also talk about that a little bit later as well. 18 people have liked that one. Okay, we're getting there. I'm not sure about those ratios. Anyway, that's how you manage your. So rather than saving it, it's kind of managed because it's automatically saved. And you can go back into your home. If you double click your project that you've just started, you can keep working on it. Oh, 2 people have liked my poster. Thank you very much. That's nice. No, 2 people have viewed it. No one's liked it. What's going on, folks? There's an appreciation button there. Take note of it. Oh. Anyway, what I'm going to do, because we've only got about 25 minutes left, really, I'm thinking it might be best now for me to demo the other parts of Spark, and then give you a bunch of resources that you can then work on at your own time. So rather than going really slowly through the others, because we won't get time to do that, I'm going to work pretty quickly for these next 2. Consider them a demo. It is being recorded. You can always look back and see how you go. So I apologize if I'm going a bit too fast for the next section, but that's the only way we're going to get through it. So we've created a poster. What I'm thinking now is we'll create a little video, and eventually I want to put the poster and the video into a Spark page. So I'm going to go to my little plus symbol and I'm going to choose video. And when I click video, this is a bit gimmicky. You can have a little theme if you want to. I usually skip that. This is great if you're an English teacher, because we provide a scaffold on how to tell a video story in a particular genre, which is really cool. There's some great options there. But generally, most of the time, we start from scratch. And what you're about to see when it opens up is a very basic environment that allows us to tell a video story. Nothing like Premiere Pro, which is quite a complicated environment, really. In between Spark Video and Premiere Pro, though, we've got a wonderful app called Adobe Premiere Rush. And that is a fantastic solution because Spark Video is very basic and there are lots of limitations to it. But Premiere Rush is like a cut down version of Premiere Pro, and it's available on your phone and your Android device and your iPad and your laptop and your desktop, so it's really versatile. There's a little tutorial here. You can close that because, or you can watch that in your own time if you want to. I'm going to do a quick little voiceover by clicking on this microphone symbol, just to open up my story with something like creativity is important in education, something like that. Creativity is vital in education. Now, if I hit the play button right here on the left of the record button, I should be able to hear back, and you'll be able to hear some music as well. Creativity is vital in education. I'm not really happy with the music, so I'm going to go up to the top right-hand corner and look at all the royalty-free music that's available in the Spark Video side of it. It's chosen Across the Bridge, which is a nice little ukulele. It's not really, but if I keep clicking this play button, I'm getting different ideas. If I click the word to load the song, so I don't think that's just until I've chosen the song. I'm happy with that, so I'm now going to choose the song by clicking the word. And now that song, it'll take a few seconds, is loading onto my page, and I'll have a new background music and I'll have my voiceover. I'll just test it now. Creativity is vital in education. Good, I'm happy with that. I've got my opening voiceover, I've got my background, and you can be applying this to any subject area. Imagine you're doing a project, a history project, and you're doing, I don't know, in grade 5, are they still doing the Goldfields? Are they still doing Eureka Stockade? They probably are, yeah. I can see Catherine give her thumbs up. When I taught grade 5 many, many years ago, we would, in fact, when I was in grade 5, we were doing it then too. Anyway, that's just another story. In fact, that reminds me, one of the things I remember about my grade 5 was the teacher at the time got this really clunky video camera. It was an old VHS camera, and it was so old that, in fact, it had the tape recorder as a big box. Do you remember those big boxes of the tape recorder? And then the camera had to be connected to the tape recorder, and we used to lug it around, and the battery would only last about 30 minutes. We ended up reenacting the Eureka Stockade conflict. It was just brilliant, and I still remember it to this day because it was a creative way of teaching history. And I just loved it, and I still remember it. I think that's one of the reasons why I got so into video production, one of the many reasons, I think. And that's one thing from my primary school years that I really clearly remember and and appreciate what the teacher went that extra mile. And that was back in 1979. That's how old I am. Ha. Anyway, so let's get some content here. I'm going to click on the little plus symbol that's in the middle of the stage and type in, with the text tool, type in creativity. It's going to my Adobe branding, but if I go up to the top right-hand corner where it says theme, I can rework that, because if you've logged in with your school account, you can create your own branding. You can have your school branding, you can rework that. You can have a number of different brandings if you want to, or if you're in the free version, you're stuck with just the generic branding. So I'm going to stick with the title, maybe choose a nice orange background, and now click the play button and see what it's like. Creativity is vital in education. I want to increase the size of that font, so I'm just going to click on it, and then at the top you can see some scaling tools. Just make it a little bit bigger and just test it again. Creativity is vital in education. Now, to add a new section to the story, I'm going to click this little plus symbol down the bottom left-hand corner. This allows me to add a new stage, like a PowerPoint slide in a sense. And now I can choose to add some video content, some more titles, still images, icons, just like we have with Spark Post. I'm going to choose the Spark Post that I made earlier by going photo. Remember I said there's a take photo feature? That's where this panel appears, and I could take my own photo and appear in my video, but I might not do that now. I'm going to upload though. I'm going to upload and find in my downloads folder, there should be that Spark Post that I made, because it's just sitting there waiting for me. Notice the resolution is not great for video, so I'm going to wait for it to load, and then a little toolbar will appear at the top right-hand corner. There it is, starting to appear, and that'll allow me to scale this down so we can see the whole thing. So I'll just grab that little toolbar, make the poster a bit smaller. Of course, doing this in Premiere Pro, as some of you would know, because you've used Premiere Pro before, you imagine trying to do what I've just done in Premiere Pro. That would take hours. It'd even take me a couple of hours to get what I've just created. And I use Premiere Pro all the time. This is just so simple. So I'm not going to do a voiceover for this part. I'm just going to let it go. To hear the whole story from beginning to end so far, I'm going to click on this play button here. Creativity is vital in education. Good, so the video story has kind of taken place. I'm going to add another section to it. Because we're running very low in time, I'm not going to finish this whole video, but I want to just give you the basics. Maybe, Nathan, are there any questions I need to address before I...
Yeah, there has been a few questions come in about sort of the difference, I guess, between, you know, you've got Spark at one end, Premiere Pro at the other, and then Rush somewhere in the middle. First question was, is Rush free to school accounts?
No, Rush is part of the Adobe Creative Cloud. In fact, it's a good point, Nathan. I might just quickly share this slide here. The Creative Cloud, which most schools have now, certainly every Department of Education secondary school has got it. You've all got it. You've got the full Creative Cloud for every student and every teacher in the Victorian Department of Education and Training if you're in a secondary school. Primary schools, you have to choose to get it, and if you want to email me, I can organise that for you through the department, but we haven't by default given it to every school. Independent Catholic and Lutheran schools, it's every school manages their own software, so it's you probably have it without realising that you've got it. So talk to your IT department. They might have some spare licenses for you, because you have to sort of buy them in bulk in a sense for a school to get the cheap price. But it's 23 desktop, laptop apps, it's 23 mobile apps, and it's 11 web apps and resources, of which Spark is 1 web app and 3 mobile apps. So that's the Creative Cloud, and it's used for all of these amazing areas of publication, as you can see. And Adobe might just show you, I like to break it into two different categories. You've got the low lift, high impact apps like the Spark tools, and there's a whole bunch of other tools that I would also consider low lift, really easy to work with, but give you high impact. Then you've got your full on professional high impact apps that are used literally at the highest level of multimedia. Marvel Studios use Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects for their Hollywood blockbusters. So it's used at the highest level. And yet I know students in grade 4 and 5 who use Premiere Pro as well. Just so cool to see that they can have no limit to their creativity. Nathan, that's a long way of answering that. What else we got?
Oh, that's all right. And then, so I think Ancella might want some support around, it looks like it's a stop motion thing to make a movie. I wonder, maybe, Tim, you might be able to suggest some resources at the end to go on with if she wants to learn more about Rush.
Yeah, and me as well.
Yeah, there was also a question, will the Adobe logo always be at the end, or can it be removed? Is that to do with it being a free app?
It is. If it's the free version, yes, it will always be there. If you've logged in with your school account, then it's not there at all. In fact, you can choose what you have as your logo. It could be your school brand if you wanted to, or have no logo. You've got total control if you've got the school version. But if you've chosen the free version, because that's all you've got access to, then you're stuck with that logo. Yeah.
Okay, and that includes the watermark as well that's on the slide.
Is it on each slide? Really? I thought it was just at the end of your product. When you export it, it'll just be at the end there.
Okay, cool. And then one other question was, can the template colors be edited?
Oh, sorry, it might actually be on each slide. Yeah, I think it is from memory. It's been so long since I've used the free version. Sorry, Nathan, that question again?
Oh, can the templates colors be edited?
Yeah, in the branding, you create the branding so that you can have your own colors. But if you're using the free version with the free templates, no, you have got no control over that at all.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tim.
No worries. I won't play that just to save time, but there's, I'll give you the link to this video. It's kind of, Rob the Robot's my personal assistant, and I've made him with Adobe Character Animator, which is that's what I did my presentation today at Adobe Max about. And it's real-time animation. So your webcam is tracking your face, and as you move your head, your digital puppet is moving its head. As you talk, its voice is being recorded and its mouth is opening and closing. Such a simple way of making video animation. And so this video here, I'll give you the link to it before we close. Let's just jump back to my Spark video. Let's assume that I've finished. The only thing I haven't really shown you that you might be interested in is how to add video content. So I'm going to quickly just grab some video. In fact, that poster that I made before is actually a video. So a little MP4 video. When you've got the video in, you can trim it. You can use these little handles to decide how much of the video you want to appear in your story. So for me, I'm just going to bring in the first couple of seconds till about there. So from that bubble to that bubble, and then I'll click save. So now just that between those two handles is what will appear in my actual video story. And I might do a voiceover to finish off the story as well. I need to scale down that video, it looks like. Oh, yeah, so we can see the animation in it. In fact, what I might do is go to my layout and just choose a split screen and add a little, make that bigger again now that we've split the screen, just because we can, and type in something like "be creative." Make that a little bit bigger, and then put a voiceover in. Be creative. So let's play the whole story now. Creativity is vital in education. Be creative. There we go. So my video is pretty much done. And if you got to the top, you can see we can preview it like I just did before. I could share this out into the cloud, or I could download it as a MP4 video file. Again, I could invite people, just like we did with Spark Post. You've got those options. To save time, I won't do any of that now, but you can see that they're available to you. Just in the next 5-10 minutes, I want to quickly jump back to my desktop or my dashboard, I like to call it, my Spark dashboard. There's my video, there's my poster. Let's quickly create a web page. I'm going to go to plus, go to web page. It's now going to ask me for a title. I'm just going to do the word creativity, or keep with that theme as well, by Dr. Tim Kitchen. There we go. And if I click the little plus symbol down below, it's going to ask me to, there's my panel again. I can bring in some photos that I've got. I could find free photos. Let's find that really cool one, creativity. See if it's still there. It is. So this will become the background to my web page. And I'm not happy with the font or the style. So once that photo is loaded, I'm going to go up to the top right-hand corner where the themes button is. And then I could choose my branded theme, which is what it's already there by default, or I could scroll down. There's a bunch of other really cool generic themes. I'll stick with that one for the moment to save time. Now, once you've got your title and your background, when you scroll down, you can see a bunch of tools that allow you to add content to your web page. You can add more photos. You can add text, as much text or as little text as you want to. You can format that text in various ways. You can add hyperlink buttons. You can even turn any word, any text word into a hyperlink as well. This is a wonderful multimodal text tool. Do you know the word multimodal text appears 56 times in the National English Curriculum? Just saying. English teachers are really encouraged to think about multimodal, different ways of presenting text, and this is a wonderful solution. We can embed videos. We can embed any video from YouTube, any video from Vimeo, and any video from Spark Video that you've created and shared. As long as you've got the link to that video, you can embed it into your web page. A gallery of images, a glide show, which is a beautiful way of presenting. I'm just going to choose an image here to save in the background of my glide show. And then this panel appears over the top of the glide show. I can move that panel into various locations. That panel has a plus symbol on it, which means I can now add another photo to glide over the top of that background. Or I can add some text to annotate over the top of that background and format that text in various ways if I wanted to. I can also add a video, and this becomes a beautiful digital portfolio solution in any subject area. Just imagine that that background is actually a piece of work that the student has created. It could be a history essay. It could be a photo that they've taken for their art, of their artwork. It could be a science experiment that they've taken a photo of, and then they've annotated exactly what's happened, but then they've created a video in Spark Video about the science experiment, what they've learnt in the process of doing that. What could they have done better if they had more time? All that rich data that as educators we often don't see when the student just submits the work. But if we get a video that's linked to it, it becomes a really authentic piece of assessment, a really powerful piece of assessment. So that's why a lot of students and teachers are using this as a digital portfolio assessment tool. And then you've got split layout as well. We can have an image on one side, get that common image again, and anything else on the other side too. And I'll just format that, align it to the middle. Now, as we're building it, we get to scroll through and get a sense of what this would look like if it was published. Otherwise, we can go into present mode, and it's like a PowerPoint presentation then. Even with a remote clicker, you can click different parts. If I go present now, and let's say I had a remote clicker or use my arrow key on my keyboard, I can then just click through different parts. So I can click and then click. I can go back, forwards, and I've actually seen keynote presenters using this tool to present in conferences rather than PowerPoint. Let's face it, folks, I started teaching PowerPoint to teachers in 1992. That's right, that's how long we've had PowerPoint. Isn't it nice to have something different? Just saying. Notice at the end, all the credits that have automatically appeared, any Creative Commons image that you've used gets automatically credited at the end of your web page. And that's about as complicated as it gets. I'll just jump into share, and you can see we can publish this as an actual web page. We can print it, we can make it into a PDF and have it printed with a date stamp, which is important, especially in senior secondary and in university levels where we want to have evidence of when that work was actually printed before it gets assessed. So that's there for you. You can send it to your Google Drive. Again, you can invite other people to collaborate with you, just like you can with the other parts of the Spark tools. And that's about it, folks, when it comes to Spark Page. So we've created a poster in Spark Post, we've created a video in Spark Video, and we've created the beginnings of a web page in Spark Page and shown you the basic elements. And we've done it in less than an hour. That just shows you just how cool these tools are. And as I said before, your students would absolutely love them.
Oh, wow.
It's so intuitive. And I want to give you a quick link here. This link is to some tutorials that I created at the beginning of lockdown last year, when these tools suddenly became incredibly popular when everyone was into home schooling as such. Suddenly the students and teachers had some really creative ways of working. Let me just grab that link and put it into the chat so you have direct access to it amongst all my other resources here. I'm looking for Adobe Spark Edu Tips. What I'm going to give you is both the Vimeo version and the short URL version. And let's just get back to here. So you've got two different ways of getting into those tutorials. And I've got tutorials there for the iOS version as well as the browser version of all the Spark apps. And there's the video that I told you about before. You can hear from Rob the Robot, and maybe even share that video with your colleagues and your students to get them inspired and encouraged to use Adobe Spark in their whatever they're doing. This link here is how to get your school set up with Spark for free. So this gives you all the information that your IT people would need to know about. So the link, it used to be Spark, it's changed slightly. So I'm going to grab that link from this slide and put it into your chat. And then you can share that with your IT people if you don't already have Spark for free. And hopefully I've convinced you now that you need it for free, because it is so cool to think that you've got access to it totally for free. It's just awesome. Here's Rob the Robot. He's going to share with you some more resources. I'll put the links to these resources in the chat. And when we get to the top of the hour, I'm happy to hang around for a few minutes if anyone wants to have a chat, answer any questions, but I know people will need to go. So here's Rob.
Hi there, it's Rob the Robot here from the Adobe Education team. Thank you for being involved with this Adobe in Education event. On behalf of the team, I would like to share some follow-up resources that will not only benefit you, but also your colleagues and wider education networks. Use this QR code or link to find out more about the Adobe Creative Educator program. This is a badging program that involves multiple levels. To obtain the Level 1 badge, you need to do the Creativity for All course on the Adobe Education Exchange. The focus of this course is creativity in education rather than Adobe. You don't need to be an Adobe expert or even a regular Adobe user to get your Level 1 badge. Inject Creativity Live is a live and on-demand show on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel. It is recorded every second Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time during the school terms. Each show features a practical demo from a teacher who is an Adobe education leader. The demo is of a practical Adobe application and how that teacher is using it in the classroom. Each show also features a thought piece from a leading education thought leader. The show also features me. Let your colleagues know about Inject Creativity Live and join the live audience every second Wednesday night. This QR and link take you to our contact form. Use this form to make sure you are on the email lists for our monthly updates for Australasian teachers. This QR and link takes you to the Australasian Adobe in Education coming events site to keep you and your colleagues informed with the wide range of professional learning opportunities that are freely available to all educators in any curriculum area and level. We hope you enjoyed this session. Please do share what you've learned with your colleagues and wider education networks, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Okay, so just to finish off, emphasising the Adobe Creative Educator program, I noticed that Naja is saying, once my minor paper is submitted, I'll give the creative course a second chance. I actually run a course that helps guide teachers through this course in case you don't want to do it on your own. You can do it on your own, that's absolutely fine. It's called the Be a Creative Educator course. I do it once a month, and we've planned into next year as well. So feel free to look up that link there if you want to get that course done with me. There's no cost involved in any of this other than your time, obviously. But the beauty of this course is that it's about creativity. It's not about Adobe. It's about creativity. We had 15 professors, associate professors and PhDs help us put these courses together. And I love teaching it. Yes, we have an Adobe side to it. We actually get you to create a spark about what you've learnt in the course. So there is an Adobe side to it, but it's such a cool, it's one of my favourite courses on the Adobe Education Exchange. The Inject Creativity live show, the next episode is next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m, but it's also on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel, in case you can't watch it live. 6:30 p.m. is a terrible time for a lot of you, so most people watch it on the YouTube channel. And this is the new Teach Meets program that I mentioned earlier. We're starting on November 10. We've got it planned right through to the end of next year. What I love about this is that I'm going to have 5 Adobe education leaders who are so passionate classroom teachers who are going to be presenting 5 different topics, from basic simple Spark topics to full-on high-end Premiere Pro After Effects type topics. And you can go in and choose whichever breakout room you want to go to be part of it. And I want to encourage you to share the Teach Meets with your colleagues, because I reckon this is going to be some of the best professional learning that we have produced. And we're getting really, really good at this because this is what we do. Full-time professional learning and encouraging creativity. So I'm really looking forward to the start of this program. I'm meeting with all the presenters tonight at 7:30 to make sure they're all fired up, and looking forward to starting that on November 10. So please share that out as much as you possibly can. And my newsletter, it goes out once a month, so I won't bombard you with emails, but if you want to get information about our programs once a month to share with your colleagues, join my email list, and that's the QR code and the link, which I've already put into the chat, but I'll put it one more time. Nathan, any last minute things? But I'm happy to hang around in case we need to spend some more